Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me on my podcast, Swiping Over 40, Online Dating for Mature Women. So all you ladies over 40 years old that are looking for love the first time around, or maybe it's the second or third time around, join in on our podcast as I interview all different types of men from all walks of life who give advice on dating, how to navigate the internet dating process, things that men are looking for. We share stories, looking really forward to sharing all this valuable information with you and helping you find love the first, second, or even third time around. What makes you as a man, or most men that you know, decide to move it forward and actually ask that woman out?
Boy, it is, it's hard. Most of the guys I know, I'm going to be honest with you, most of the guys I know are going to swipe right on a pretty girl. If your photos look good and represent who you are, it's totally going to be on that first. I don't know if the visual thing is, sort of the first thing that happens, right? You look, you see a picture, you say, wow, I'm sort of attracted. And it doesn't matter. I'm not saying that someone needs to be a supermodel, because I'm certainly not a supermodel myself, right? It's not that. It's just that you see the picture and it captures you in some way. Like you are immediately like, oh yeah, definitely. Like I can tell you without a doubt who I would swipe right on every single time and who I would not. And it's usually based on that picture. Some pictures, you see right away and you say, oh no, and it's not that they're unattractive. It's that it's dark, or, the photo quality's dark, or it's out of focus, or it's like, there was just no attention to detail, right? It's just the best you're going to put up online. Probably going to swipe left.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good information. Meaning like they put the woman put no effort from your observation.
I don't know, but like you said, there's so many people online, and there's for better or worse, there's a lot of opportunity to just connect with people, which is the positive thing. The negative side of that is there's a lot of people you can connect with, so you pretty much arbitrarily either right or left based on something as minuscule as how the photo looks. You know what I mean? That's the first thing that you get to, right? Is the photo. It's not like you get to know them. It's not speed dating face to face where you sit with a person and get to know them in 2 minutes, which is always a fun time. But so the photo is the first thing that anybody sees. It should be a good one.
Yeah, and I've heard that across the board. If you don't catch the eye on the first photo, they're going to swipe left or just move on. Now, so how long would you wait before, let's say a woman says, I'm not comfortable talking offline yet? How much time would you give it before you say, okay, I'm at a buffet and this entree is getting cold and I see a hot one right here on the right. Let me just move on down the buffet. How long would you wait before a woman was willing to, text you or give you her phone number or even have a chat with you?
Well, honestly, it's a free for all until you get to that first meeting. Mm-hmm. Like it's game on. You're talking to multiple people.
Right.
So, you're not going to necessarily wait for one or another. You're just going to keep chatting until somebody wants to meet for a date. And then you'll go out on a date. And if it works out, honestly, I prefer to be interacting with one person at a time. Mm-hmm. I don't like to interact with, a whole ton of people. I used to, we've all been through those times in your life where you're dating 3 or 4 people at the same time. And it's just pure hell, actually. It's a lot of work. And so, it's nice to just find one person to talk to, but it's usually that first date is where you say either, oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna not chat with these people as much, and I'm gonna just kind of hang with this one for a while.
Which is going to lead us right into our next topic. So what makes that woman the one that you either say, no, I don't want to chat with her anymore. It's a one and done kind of first date, or or I want to move forward with this and see how another date is and talk to her more. So I guess what I'm asking is, what do you look for, and what catches your eye in both directions? What catches your eye as far as, you know what, I'm going to stay away? And what catches your eye or your heart that says, you know what, I want to get to know this person a little bit more? Like some first date do's and don'ts for women.
I'll tell you, for me, Kathlyn, one thing that immediately is a no-go, and I'll never be back, is if she starts to talk badly about exes. And I've had that happen so many times. And as soon as I hear someone talking badly about exes, I think two things. A, they're not capable of taking responsibility for their own actions in a relationship. Or B, they're just going to be talking bad about everybody they've ever dated. And I will be the next person that they're just going to talk bad.
So over 50, a man over 50. On the dating market, so to speak, meaning you're available and
I am single. Yes,
you're single, so you're open to opportunities. So you meet somebody, you meet a woman, and you really hit it off. I'm not. Maybe you meet her online, maybe you meet her in the grocery store, grabbing a cup of coffee, but you meet her, and you decide to go out.
Mm-hmm.
You do a meet. Your first meet, or maybe because
well, if it's online and it's meeting, but the bottom line is, if you want to arrive in the question at just the first date, that would be, yes, it's a mutually agreed we're going on a date.
First date. So first date. Mutually agreed upon, you're going on a first date, and that woman and you are really hitting it off. You're super attractive. The conversation is flowing. And it's an intellectual conversation. You're stimulated intellectually. You're stimulated, spiritually, maybe, and you're very attracted to that woman. And you decide the two of you decide as adults, you make a decision that you're going to, go home, hang out. You're going to get naked, and you're going to, whatever you want to call it. No bad words.
I just call it having sex. That's what
having
I call
sex. Yeah, you're gonna you end up having sex.
I don't overthink the simple stuff. Sex is really simple.
Okay, so you end up having sex. Okay, you and this woman end up having sex.
Yes.
How you personally? I'm going to ask you personally, and then maybe you can give me a generalization. Has she changed? Has anything changed in your thought process about her? Even if you think, oh, she says, I never do this, and maybe she never does.
I've heard that 35 times in my life.
And maybe 35 times it's the truth.
I'm not, and see, that's just it, Kathlyn, is that I don't judge that. This is why I don't fall into the same category with a lot of men. I just don't. I'm not going to disagree with you that the reason I have to be careful about saying maybe it was the truth is there's a lot of times where that could be taken by a male or a female as being arrogant. I don't know how many times it was true for me. I don't know, because it's viewed sometimes by women as, oh, he thinks he's special, or he thinks he's all that. When you go, well, she didn't do it with everybody else, but she did that with me in that circumstance. And so I'm careful about how that answer is viewed.
Right.
But whether it was true or not, it doesn't really matter, because again, some things just are what they are. And so me personally, no, I have never chosen to view someone based on how the length of time of knowing me and the length in that time frame of choosing to be physically intimate with me, no matter where the location is. I don't choose to judge somebody by that decision that she makes. You guys control that decision 100%. All we can do is try to influence it. Anything else that's not your decision is a crime. I don't care where and when it happens. Don't get me started on that, because I'll lose my mind. But no, but but like I said, that's me. I told you a story last time that I got intimate with a woman 5 hours after I met her. I can't say that was the first time that happened. And I dated her on and off for 5.5 years. She's still a friend of mine to this day. She's married with a kid, and I actually mentor her kid. She lives about 8 miles from me in Los Angeles. She was my first. Yeah, so I don't, but I'm not like a lot of men that way.
So what you're saying is that it doesn't change your opinion of that woman. She doesn't go up a notch, down a notch. She just status
No.
quo. Okay.
No, because to me it's the quality. To me, you have two things that should affect this. You have the quality of chemistry that can lead to physical intimacy quickly, and then you have quality of connection that leads to the possibility of the future. And we conflate the two. And you have to understand what came first, the chicken or the egg. So because society judges you guys for getting naked with somebody, there's this inherently built-in thing from religion to your parents to your circle of friends that if you chose to quote unquote give that to him, it's a phrase I can't stand personally. It's an adult decision. And even, if a kid can go off to Ward 18 and lose his life, then it's an adult decision. If it's a mutual decision, then there's an obligation inside of us sometimes, especially from the female side, to then feel that you have to move forward with that in some way. And that if you don't, it makes you a bad person. And if he doesn't, he's an a-hole. And so this is the dynamic that starts for us very early in life, high school on, and we never recover from it. And we make horrible decisions in general because of it. Judgment of others.
That's pretty powerful. And I have to share that I've talked to a lot of men, and ladies, believe it or not, they view this similar to how Kevin views it. I feel sometimes it's more a couple of things. One is that you said that we as women tend to feel a little bit emotionally bonded, maybe after having sex with someone.
Sure. That's a physiological fact.
Yeah, it is. It's it's the hormones. And so we expect that phone call, then we start having expectations. And whenever there's expectations, I feel that there could be misunderstandings. And another is I feel that women judge each other far more than a man would judge for that same situation. The right forum for a first meet or date, and how long do you think that first meet or date should last?
I think that anywhere that you can go where you can have conversation is a great first date. So I don't think the movies is a great first date because you're not going to be able to talk.
Right.
I think sometimes the stigma with taking somebody out to dinner and all that is like, there's this stigma to overly impress people about where you take them and how much money you spend, and there's all these other things. I mean, I think that if you can actually meet somebody and go for a hike or a walk at the beach or somewhere where you can actually just sit, walk and talk, or sit down and talk and get to know who that person is, that's great. My girlfriend now, one of our first dates was we went to the LA Zoo for right around Christmas for zoo lights.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like we walked around the zoo for a couple hours, and just in that process, I mean, we got a real opportunity to talk and get to know each other. So that was a great first date.
You know what? I love that. And I agree with you. When it comes to something about being in motion and being able to have complete ability to converse with each other. So when you talk about going to the zoo, there's enough to distract you that you don't feel you have to say something every minute. You can talk about the animals, you can be walking, looking at the lights, and it's so beautiful there at Christmas time.
We were looking at the lights a lot and all the displays, and it was cool. I mean, it was a couple hours, had a great time, great conversation. Yeah, it led to another date.
Yeah, well, obviously, we'll go into that in a minute. But I agree with you. Things like if you like hiking or you like walking at the beach or, anything like that, I think that's a great forum to meet somebody, where you can, come separately and you can leave separately. The zoo is a little bit of a commitment, but again, you're enjoying what's going on at the zoo. So even if you're, if you enjoy that, even if you're not fully enjoying that person, which I know you two did, it's still a good time for you. I don't like, and I don't know how you feel about this. Well, let me tell you what I do like. something like that. Or, maybe taking, like you said, just, I like the beach. I like the ocean. I like to watch it. So that's always fun to walk there a little bit. But another thing is, I don't like crowded, busy, noisy, high energy places to meet someone the first time. A lot of people want to do a coffee shop. God knows I don't want to be like caffeined out while people are walking back and forth getting coffee. I feel like I can't connect to your energy. So I would take, something like, more like what you said, or even, just a lounge, like a quiet lounge where you can have a cocktail or something and it's just chill. The music's quiet, but it's there, so it's not too quiet. So for sure, a whole dinner face-to-face is a lot to ask for a first date or meet, because you're committed, for that whole thing. And then you think about stuff for both men and women, but we're specifically, mostly talking to women, that's really important, is to be able to know who you are. And I know that talking to this audience, a lot of the women have been married, they're divorced, they've had families, 40s, 50s, 60s, and they're looking. You know what? I think when we've, been married, even for extended periods of time, and maybe not extended, and we've raised our children, that a lot of the time we lose ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. We lose who we are. We forget what it is we like to do. And I'm going to be 100% honest, with as many hobbies as I have and things that I do after my marriage, which I was with my ex-husband for, over like 18 years, between, dating and being married and having a family. And when the relationship ended, part of it maybe ended because I forgot, my sister had made a comment to me. She's like, "Who are you? What do you mean, who am I? Like, who are you? You used to have all these hobbies and do all these things, and I don't even know who you are anymore." And it really got my wheels spinning. And I know I've talked to a lot of women who are in the same boat. Who am I? You get so busy, which isn't wrong. I mean, you're just busy because you're doing, life. You're busy, working, if you're working, taking care of your family, your home, that you forget what it is that makes you happy. So before you even get out there and date, I encourage you to take that time to figure out who you are and what it is that you love and what your passions are. And Rashad, if I'm wrong, tell me, but isn't that just so much more attractive in a relationship to know that the woman knows who they are and what makes them happy, and they're not dependent on you for their happiness because it's already within.
Yeah, nothing outside of you is going to make you happy. It's all within yourself. So, I mean, when you know and understand that, it makes life a lot more beautiful for you, because otherwise you're getting quick fixes. You're looking for happiness in things that don't basically have any meaning. I mean, they're quick fixes. They put a smile on your face temporarily, and then you move on to the next thing, and you're looking for happiness in that. And then you get tired of this, like a kid playing with a toy. They get the toy first, and they're just all gung-ho about it. A week later, they're on to the next toy. They forgot about that toy. So, if you approach relationships in life like that, you're going to get exactly what that kid's getting.
Yeah, I know. I 100% agree with you on that, Rashad. And, I think it's a lot to ask somebody is to ask a man or anyone, like, to say, like, you are responsible for my happiness, right? Yeah. If without you doing the things exactly the way you were doing them or the way I want you to do them, I'm not happy. How can you ever put that on somebody else? And nobody could ever live up to that expectation. I can't even imagine thinking that I am solely responsible for somebody else's health, happiness and well-being. Now, even as a mother having kids, I'm responsible for their well-being, when they're not responsible for themselves, but their happiness. Let me throw all the toys and all the sandboxes, and we'll go to the park, and let me see where your joy, where your joy comes through. And then I know you really love the mud, so we're going to go to the mud as much as we can. Or you really love to ride in the wagon, so we're going to ride in the wagon every day. But it's no different when you become an adult. So know your passion, know your joy, and never, ever, ever let somebody be responsible for that happiness, because I don't think a relationship will ever work. And if it does, you'll never be happy, and neither will they, because there's too much codependency going on in that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So
them and try to get them to think what a woman wants. Don't, just move on. Even if it's a paid site and somebody suddenly, because again, I can take the attitude, I'm not trying to be a goofball, Kathlyn, I'm just saying, I'm saying I can take the attitude, oh, well, the women here, if I pay a little bit of money, will believe that I'm more serious, and then I can get them out for a coffee or whatever and talk them into going home. I mean, but I think just from the pure question that you asked, sure, I think that paying money to be on a site would help filter out some of the one night stand boys. Sure.
Okay. Yeah. No, thanks for being honest on that,
Sure.
for sure. And that's what we're looking for is, the man's perspective on, we can see things as women from our lens, our unique lens. And again, coming from a woman's perspective, it's, a lot of the times it is different than a man's. I'm sorry, men are from Mars and women are from Venus. There's something to that book. The next question I have for you is, what is your advice on how a woman can stand out in a profile? I mean, there are millions of people online. What to you or to some of the men would stand out in a profile? It starts with pictures, right? Because we talked about how men are visual. So what type of pictures? And then once you look at the pictures, do you read the bio? And if you do, what stands out? What's different? What catches your eye?
I also, I think, Kathlyn, that we don't take pictures that tell a story about us. That's, again, one of the things that you are being very specific about in our conversations is women over 40. So I'm certainly over 40. And so I'll discuss just men over 40, and I'll keep it to that realm. But I don't think we oftentimes take pictures that tell a story. First of all, half the pictures I witnessed were too dark to even see who the hell I was looking at. Too many of the pictures, especially for women, were in groups of 4 to 7 people. And sometimes it was the first picture. How am I supposed to know who you are? It's like, these are things. And if you have kids, have one picture of your kids. Like, this is part of the thing where a lot of times I get into conversation, and I don't mean it in a bad way, Kathlyn, but you want to present a picture like you're hot and single when you aren't single. You may be hot, and so if you have kids, have one picture out of your profile pictures. Please be with your children, but please have it not be like chasing a dog and you're sideways in a profile and all I can see is your left eyeball. Like, have it a picture just sitting on the couch with your kid or your 2 kids. Like, have your pictures be in good light and tell some sort of a story about you. If you play tennis, one picture playing tennis. If you like to walk on the beach, one picture you want someone to have a sense of you. So the photos don't just tell a physical attractiveness story, but they also tell as the old phrase, like, what would you be doing if I wasn't here? So I think that's fairly important, because then what you put in the profile is going to have a sense of that. I mean, I always love the women who say they were, silly and a lot of fun, and every single one of their pictures was serious. Really, I think I missed the correlation there. If you're silly and have a lot of fun, then have one picture where you're actually smiling. I mean,
that is great advice. That is great advice. Ladies, take heed to that for sure, because a lot of times we are living in a world of filters and photoshopping and our Snapchat, whatever, and we can make ourselves look very different. But we're also a lot of the time trying to make ourselves, especially over 40, look younger maybe, and we have expression lines of our smiles and what we've gone through in life, and don't try to cover them up with a filter is what I'm saying. As we get over 40, we'll start to have, okay. We'll have what I'm saying is we'll have a wrinkle or two. I mean, we're going to have a wrinkle or two. Most people, maybe some people don't. So don't try to use a filter to filter yourself. Then you look almost unreal is the way I look at it. And I love what you're saying about doing something that you would normally do. Meaning, like, I feel like as a man, you'd be seeing, can I step into that world? Can I, do I
want to step into that world?
Right. And if you really see the world, then you have a better idea of whether or not you want to step in. And
if you are looking to date a younger guy, really ask yourself your intentions. And it doesn't matter what those are, but really figure out what your intentions are and put that on your profile. Like the best thing you can do, I think most of the advice I'm going to have is for any age, but the best thing you do is be real, show some vulnerability, but don't show the kind of vulnerability that's going to make the guy think that they're going to want to hear you complain or bitch or, you know, be the victim about something. But show vulnerability, like, this is what I'm working on, these are my shortcomings, something like that. I think that really helps open the door to a lot of, you know, some people go deep, some people don't, and everyone goes deep in different ways. It's a matter about the type of deep you're looking to vibe with, whatever. So put that on your profile. As deep as you want to go with someone, make that as deep as your profile goes. You know, if you want to like really get emotionally complex and talk about things a lot, put that there. And there will be guys that see that and vibe with it, right? But if you're just a simple person and you also want a simple person, or maybe a complicated person will find you, and it's okay, and it really works. I find that in my relationship now is I'm pretty complicated and she's so simple, and not like in a stupid, boring way. She's just like, like here it's just like boom, 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 and she's just like,
she's a breath of fresh air.
And yeah, and so, you know, maybe who you're putting yourself out there as is going to be what you're bringing in. So that's a super important. It's so important. It's the most important thing, and that includes your photos. The photos you see of you. You know, people put a LinkedIn photo, like a professional photo. You put in an Instagram photo, which is a more personal, maybe sexy photo. You put in a Facebook photo, one you show your parents or whatever. Like, show all the different sides of you. But if you're looking for only one side of you to be nourished by this, or nurtured by this relationship you're looking for, just put that side of you and see what happens. And you could have fun experimenting that way too. But the last thing I would say, which comes to mind when I think of that age group of over 40, is don't take it so seriously. Okay? Like some meta commentary about, well, I normally don't write about me. Like, okay, it might have been funny once upon a time or something. But I've witnessed some very serious profiles about the whole process, and it's really just not that serious because someone's only looking at your profile. It might get serious, but the more serious you're taking it right then and there, the more of kind of like, I feel there's an investment already that that maybe not everyone's looking to be a part of while they're reading your profile. So if you are not necessarily looking for that one thing to just go all the way, and you want to explore with someone, the shallower you go, the more options you'll have.
Right.
So this is the opposite of what I was saying a second ago. If you really want to go deep in this, put that there. But if you're really looking to just kind of flow and see how deep it can go, put that. But remember, you're going to have a wider specimen to test out.
So I was married. I was in a relationship for almost 19 years. Well, I'm married for 17 and a half, but then we had our dating period. And so, you know, and 2 kids, my kids are adults. So when I first was on my own and I thought, well, I'm going to check out this online dating, my friends talked me into it. I felt so vulnerable because it's second nature. You know, you were raised with social media, you know, for a good part of your life. So I signed up, right? And I put no photos on. Okay. Why? Because I didn't want anyone to see me on there. I think I was desperate, but like, yeah, I'm kind of desperate. I'm online, right? So, and it's not about being desperate. So so of course you can imagine I got the most desperate of the desperate people on there that probably tried everybody else, did contact me. Okay. But they don't even know who I am. I could have been a man, who knows? But, anyway, so finally I remember when I actually bit the bullet and put a couple photos on, and I was so stressed out, like people are going to see me. Well, you know, if they see you, well, they're on here too. It was just so awkward and it was so vulnerable and I felt so uncomfortable. And so it took years for me to actually feel comfortable putting myself out there. Now I've had
and
some
to own it. Like this me online on my profile. Yeah.
I don't meet anyone in person because I don't go to clubs anymore, and I work and I'm professional, so I don't really, I wouldn't probably want to mix those things. So to actually go on, but I have to tell you, it's been such a great experience because you said something about growing, and where you say you're getting there, but I feel like we never really get there because situations change and we change and things around us change. So I learned so much about myself through online dating. I met, even when I didn't want to go, I had the mindset. Well, initially I had the mindset, I'm going to find somebody. I'm going to be in that relationship right out of my marriage, which I shouldn't have done, but I didn't do that. I did not get in a relationship, but thankfully. However, even if I didn't want to go, I would go. And I would be thankful that that person was willing to spend their precious time, getting to know me. And I would tell myself two things, or three. I'm going to be in the moment 100%. And I'm going to learn something about myself and then something else, maybe something about, a job that they do that I've never heard of. And it became so much more pleasant, and I have people that I've made, it didn't work out in a romantic way, but guess what? We're still really good friends. And it could be such an experience. And so I agree. Be honest, but don't take it so serious, and don't have an agenda for sure. It's because it screams at people.
Yeah. And it also kind of sets yourself up for failure. I mean, I'm a believer that anytime we create an expectation for how something or someone should be, we're going to be disappointed. Like there's just no questions asked. And we make those expectations so easily. It's so natural. We don't even try. And we're just imagining how something can be. And yeah, it's either too crazy, too bad, too the imagination goes wild into fear, or the imagination goes wild into fantasy land. And in either case, it's just too extreme.
It is. I can remember, I've been in a relationship with, I would say, two narcissists. Keep in mind, listeners, ladies, narcissists, they are considered, they're true narcissists, type B personality disorder in the DSM-5, which is the diagnosis psychiatric conditions, and there is no cure. There's no pill they can take. Therapy often doesn't even treat them because
therapy doesn't. It's a very sad situation because someone who's truly afflicted with narcissistic personality disorder probably will never be able to escape that. Because think about it, they built such a strong wall from them and the outside world, and that wall is impenetrable. So when they go to see a therapist, what's going to happen? Very quickly, they're going to determine that they're smarter than that therapist is, because they're always smarter than everybody else. So they'll start to devalue the therapist, and then they'll end therapy. So they never really get started in it. And you're right, there's no pill. I mean, it's a sad situation. I feel, a lot of compassion and a lot of sadness for somebody who has to deal with that particular sort of mental disorder.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And a lot of the times they say it does evolve from some type of childhood trauma, which a lot of things do. And, mine was actually a sociopathic narcissist, which I feel is almost even worse. And there are no emotions. And I actually watched a documentary one time, and they were interviewing, I think it was it Dateline? I don't remember. They were interviewing a narcissist, and he was very candid. He said, they asked him why he was willing to do that. He said, because I know the hurt that I've caused, and it doesn't bother me at all. However, I've been, in a lot of therapy trying to make it matter, but it doesn't. But I wanted to share that so people could understand how a narcissist is. We don't have emotions. We pretend we have emotions because we know we're supposed to have.
They intellectually understand emotion, and especially empathy. So, to be in a relationship, you really have to be empathetic for your partner. You have to understand, sort of walk in their shoes, right? From time to time, you really need to have that peace. And I read somewhere, because I just dove into sort of the behind the scenes, what really goes on in that, as far as anybody knows. And the portion of the brain where empathy resides, where that is generated, they did functional MRI studies on narcissists and determined that portion of the brain is just so underdeveloped. It's not even there. Like they don't even have the capacity to have it, right? So whatever happened in childhood at a very early age, whatever the trauma was that sort of pushed them in this direction to put up that wall, literally changed their brain at that moment. So it's, again, I just feel so sad, that they are caught in this sort of cage that they'll live in forever. Now, don't get me wrong. I could never be in a relationship with somebody like that because it's just so, we'll get to that point where you talk about devaluing. It's so toxic and caustic to be in a relationship like that, that you literally, it'll just take your soul right?
It will. Yeah, and that's what I wanted to say to you women. Okay, so what's going to happen if you know what, don't try. Okay, so a lot of the time we think, well, what if I would have only said, if I would have only done, if I'd have tried harder, if I'd have loved more. It's not ever going to happen because they're incapable.
Never.
Narcissists don't care. They don't have empathy. They don't love you. They don't love themselves.
They don't have the capacity. I mean, you can learn to just detach with love because they're never, ever going to be able to be in a relationship. It's not you. They're not going to be in a relationship. They're going to go through them like you change your socks. They're going to go through relationship after relationship after relationship.
And a lot of the time they may try to come back and start the cycle again, but just know but the thing is they won't change. And that's what I really want to make clear to the viewers out here, because I've been through it. You've been through it. It is some of the worst pain that I think you can go through, just like you can't take a pill or anything for narcissism or borderline personality disorder, sociopath. You can't take a pill for a broken heart, and you just got to deal with it and figure out why and how can I prevent this from happening again, and also protect yourself. If they come back or you see those signs, don't allow it. I saw what I've heard repeatedly with women who are, second time around, even third time around, dating online, which is different. And now we've got text messages, sexting, we've got video cameras, we can take videos. And back in the day, a lot of these women, myself included, we didn't have that technology. We didn't do those things. We didn't have cell phones for pictures or texting. And I think that they're a little bit, a lot of the women I've talked to anyway, don't know what is really right and wrong. So my advice is whatever you feel is right or wrong, whatever you're comfortable with. If you're comfortable with it, it's not wrong. It's not wrong. But if you're not, then I would suggest not doing it unless you're feeling like trying something different and stepping out of your comfort zone. But here's the biggest, go ahead.
No, I would just throw in, Kathlyn, you're right. We didn't have all this technology back when you and I were younger, but you know what we did have? We had a phone. Even if you had a phone with the long cord, and it twisted up and you walked around in circles and then you had to undo it afterwards and undo the knots because it was a big ass cord. It was 40 feet long. We still had phone sex. Phone sex existed in 1982.
Yeah.
You could talk on the phone and talk dirty to somebody.
Right.
So, and I have. So my point being is that if you're trying to also sort of maybe expand yourself and find a new comfort zone and that sort of thing, why can't you just have some fun talking dirty with somebody on the phone? That doesn't have to be FaceTime. You don't have to have your clothes off, and it doesn't have to involve pictures. It's still really being intimate in a different way without using technology. I say this all the time, Kathlyn. It's one of my favorite quotes that I invented. Just because something's possible doesn't make it a good idea. Just because your phone has a camera, just because people send pictures, and just because you can be naked on a Zoom doesn't mean you should. And so maybe I would just mix in before you go on further. It's just, you know what? Why don't you just start with being on the phone with someone like this and just talking dirty with them? Start with that if you're not comfortable with the other stuff. That's what I would say.
Well, but here's something else. And one of my purposes of this show is not just to navigate through the process, but to help keep those ladies out there safe during the process. So food for thought, once you send a picture, it's gone. And now it's in somebody else's possession. And if you truly don't know that person, and it takes a while to get to know somebody, I don't care what your vibe is, those pictures can end up anywhere. and
They
can
do.
be used against you. This is what happens to people who are running for office in politics, or anyone that steps into something that's of public nature. All of a sudden these pictures surface, and maybe it was even a boyfriend. So again, really think twice before you send pictures. And I like
the topic is how to cultivate just being yourself. And I know we've talked about a lot of like the tactical strategies of online dating, what you should say, what you should wear, what you should talk about, things not to talk about, and all of those wonderful things that we try to, come up with a way to be on the date, right? Because we want to have success. We want love. Everybody wants love. And I thought about it, and my experience has been, I've been in love a lot of times. I've been lucky. I've had some fabulous, amazing relationships with some of the most beautiful, just amazing women. And it's all because they were authentically themselves, and I was able to be authentically myself. So we didn't have any tactics or strategies. We just showed up without any expectations, and it happens. And it's happened again. So here I am.
Hello, everybody, and thank you again for tuning in to today's podcast, Swiping Over 40. If you like what you heard, go ahead and subscribe to my podcast channel. And ladies, I'm super excited because I do have a book coming out shortly, and it's titled Dating in a Fast Food World, The Girlfriend's Guide to Internet Dating, She Says, He Says. You're going to love it. It takes into account anything you can imagine that you might encounter while navigating through the online dating process. But not only does it have the input from a woman, it has the input from a man as well. So you'll get the inside scoop. You can also subscribe to my newsletter by going to Kathlyn.com. I look forward to hearing from each and every one of you, and may you all find love.